Hey folks, it's Amar Sheth at Sales for Life, and welcome to another edition of The Social Success Factor. And today, it's my privilege to bring to you Mariah Tribble. Mariah is the Senior Director of Sales at On24, and she is before we actually jump in, I'll have her describe exactly what she does. So Mariah, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Sure, absolutely. So I am a sales director at On24, and I am happy to say that Forrester agrees that we are the number one webcasting platform for marketers. So that's really exciting news. And that is what I get to spend my days talking about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was actually going to describe your company, but I'm glad you described it because I think you were going to do it better than me.
Yep.
Mariah, let's jump right in, right? Why are you using social media in the sales process today?
Great question. So I think that the biggest piece of social that matters to me is the research. Being able to understand who I'm talking to, what they're interested in, what's important to them. And I can find that through social research. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I feel like LinkedIn has the most accurate information because people are writing the information about themselves. So for me, it's about research. It's about finding that connection, something to talk to your prospect or your client about that isn't just the weather.
Yeah, great point. So you're researching clients heavily. Sales 101, know everything about your client, right? Know their likes, their dislikes, what they're saying, what they're doing. And I think social allows us to tap into so much information like that. Now, can you give us and the audience an example of how you use social recently to initiate a sales conversation or a sales process, to nurture a sales process, or possibly even at the end of the funnel? Any example, I kind of leave that choice to you.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many. I think there are sort of common ways that I use social selling and LinkedIn every single day, right? So I am responsible for expanding a number of our strategic accounts this year. So what I do is I go out and I will close a new division at a large company. And then I'll go into LinkedIn and find people in that similar role throughout that enterprise. And from there, I reach out through short emails and I can say, do you know Jackie Smith? I just started working with her. She loves our platform. I'd love to connect. That's a quick and easy way to get appointments and to show that you're trusted already within that organization.
That's really smart. I like that. So, I guess the main question everyone is probably wonders when I invite guests here is, what percentage of your pipeline or your revenue would you say comes from social selling?
Well, I find that to be a really funny question. I mean, I would say that 100% of my pipeline is influenced by social selling. I mean, to me, selling is social. It's all about proving that you're human and finding those connections and building that trust. So 100%.
That's actually a great way. So, I actually interviewed someone earlier, Mariah. His name is Dale Zwazinski, and he has this analogy that he uses called diversifying sales. It's like a financial advisor tells you to diversify your financial assets. So he says a third comes from social, a third comes from email, a third comes from telephone, kind of, just a hypothetical breakdown. But I love what you just said because it proves that it takes a mixture of everything to move something forward now. So I'm so glad you said that. Any words of motivation and inspiration for salespeople as they kind of determine if they should be using social in the sales process themselves?
I think that the most important thing is knowing your audience and proving that you're human and remembering that, I did a presentation recently where my big thing is that we're all human and all of us, our time is important. So you meeting with Jane Smith and finding out that she's not a good target for your webinar marketing platform and she's not somebody you should be talking to, let her go easy and say, we're not the right platform for you and I want to give you back your time.
Huh.
Or maybe she is the right, but the point is that you're human, your time is as important as anyone else's. Do that research. Find out who that target really is. Find out whether or not your conversation is worthwhile to either of you and go from there.
I love that advice. One last question for you. Why are sales managers still not 100% on board with social in the sales process? Is it a lack of awareness? Is it confusion? What is it according to you?
Well, I think it's a lack of knowledge, and it's the fact that social selling is changing every single day. Every day there's a new platform. I think that LinkedIn is probably the one that's most accepted and most understood, but still sales managers see that as a resume. It's a place where Mariah can go in and say, I was over 100% of my quota every year for 10 years and won every President's Club. And frankly, that's not the information I have on my LinkedIn page. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll find out what clients think about me. You'll find out why they trust me, what my goals are at my company. And it's really specific to my job and the value that I can bring to that prospect or client. So I think that the more that sales managers embrace the power of LinkedIn, the less scared they'll be that we're all out there just looking for jobs.
Yeah, I love that. That's great, Mariah. Thank you so much. So, folks, this is Mariah Tribble. She's a successful salesperson. A huge, in fact, 100% of her pipe and revenue is influenced by social. And I wanted to invite her on the show because I wanted you to hear her words and hear exactly how successful salespeople today are starting to use social media in their sales cycles. So I hope you find it helpful. Mariah, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I would love to have you back on the show in the future just so we can catch up and see how you're progressing with social at that point as well. Thanks again for your
Sure.
time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Thanks, Mariah.